This last portion of class is related to the evaluation for teachers. It's still relatively new. We've had about 3 years at this point in the state of Pennsylvania with the new evaluation system. And, really getting you to think about this in terms of how you, as the instructional leader, coach in your building, are going to be able to support your teachers with the data that they'll need and the artifacts they'll need to support the work they've done for their evaluation. So we in Pennsylvania, they are relying on the Danielson framework, the rubrics regarding planning preparation, classroom environment, instruction, and professionalism as 50% of the evaluation. So that's something that's been consistent in the state in the last and current evaluation system. They also advocate for a differentiated supervision model. So, things for those who are on direct supervision where they would have a pre and post conference for their observation, that there are teachers who perhaps would be on self-guided or collaborative supervision and not necessarily observed as part of their evaluation or the supervision process. And the last component that has remained the same is that tenured teachers only are required to have one directed observation in the course of a year, and non-tenured would have to have two. And that, of course, is for those who are on directed supervision in that supervision model. We know that what's new is that student data is part of every teacher's evaluation. So there's a school performance profile, which is called the SPP, and that is 15% of every teacher's evaluation in the building, not just the English, ELA, math, or science. Everyone's evaluation is included in that with that number. Um, the new form used for the evaluation for if you're a classroom teacher or a teacher who's directly responsible for the instruction of children receive an 82-1. For the teaching professionals who are not directly responsible for students, they would get an 82-3. And that would be people like academic coaches, IST teachers, guidance counselors, and the like. So here's a really important graphic that really explains it well. So the purple part of the pie, so this whole pie represents the teacher's evaluation. The purple part of the pie is the observation and practice data. So this would be based on teachers' performance in those four areas: planning and preparation, classroom environment, instruction, and professionalism. And so whether they were being directly observed or on a self-directed or collaborative process, they would have that information to as part of their evaluation. This building level data, the SPP score, would be made up of PSSA, growth, graduation, if you're in a high school, promotion rate, the attendance, if you're in a high school, AP and SAT. Um, then there's a teacher specific. So for the teachers who are tested subject teachers, they would have a score based on the information under this category. And then lastly, there's elective data. So teachers who, this is right now, what we would in schools call the SLO, or the student learning objective or outcome. So that number would be the green number. So in terms of a coach, in terms of a teacher, what is it that you need to do differently, right? So you need to be thinking about supporting school initiatives so that all subjects are successful. And so beyond, obviously math, ELA, and science are easy, but if not, you want to make sure that the teachers are part of the bigger picture, right? and if you can think about the art teacher in fifth grade who may be teaching tooling as part of art, perhaps could be referencing convex and concave, which would reinforce skills in their science unit. Or if you're the music teacher teaching beats, you could be reinforcing fractions with quarter beats and half beats and the like. You want to make sure that you're reviewing student data to inform your instruction. And again, that goes across all colleagues in the building. And then in the spring, our teachers do have to complete what's called roster verification. So if I'm the special ed teacher, how much time have I had with Johnny, and how are we splitting the student's score between myself and the regular education teacher? So as a coach, you're going to want to understand how to help the teachers do that, and hopefully your schools have kind of developed a process for that. There will be a video to watch in a bit that will help you with this piece of the data, but it will be important for you to know. We're going to continue to look at sources of evidence. Then, when you think about that observation and practice domain, the 50% of the teacher's evaluation is based on the 4 domains of Charlotte Danielson. And so this is because it's a big score, it's important that we work with the teacher to make sure that these bullet items here support them being proficient at domain 1. And in domain 2, we're going to want to be thinking about, how have we created a learning environment, and what artifacts here do we have that support that. Domain 3 is all about instruction, and so here's where we're going to want to be thinking about what is it that I've done with student work, assessment materials, my own observations, what materials have I used to teach children so that I can demonstrate proficiency. And this last one is one that I think that some teachers do naturally and some forget are a big part of their evaluation, and that is that professionalism, right? So how are we interacting with families, and how are we keeping records and being part of the bigger learning community in the school, and being an advocate in the school as opposed to being a spoon. And sometimes I joke and I say, to teachers, are you a spoon? Because spoons typically stir up trouble in the buildings, and they kind of run around and get everyone all worked up about something that really they shouldn't be worked up about. And so domain 4 is that area that you want to be thinking about as you work with teachers, of being that professional, that practitioner, that someone who's kind of the total package. For the SPP, that one blue slice of the pie, this is the percentage of of how the SPP is determined. And so, the growth and achievement are equal. English language arts, if you look at that 40%, is 20% of that number. It's half. And math and science are the other half. So ELA gets counted twice. And grade 3 reading gets factored into that other factors piece. So just like the SAT and the ACT would be factored into that at the high school. And so if you're a non-teaching professional, those your PVAS and your SLO are no longer something that would be part of your scoring. And so it would, instead of being 50% observation and practice, it would be 80, and 20% would be based on that SPP. So earlier when I said all, I meant all. All teachers get a student achievement score on their evaluation. And this is just what it looks like in terms of the pie. And of course, that's teachers, not teacher specific, but the teacher elective data is that SLO, that student learning objective. You see here, here's just an example of a sixth grade ELA one in our district. The rubric that is set up to measure that. And so, 80 to 89% of the students meeting that SLO are considered proficient. So, anyway, this is just an example of SLO, but I kind of bring you back to this slide here because one of the things that the reason this evaluation system came to be was that prior to it, we were ending the year with 99% of the teachers in Pennsylvania being proficient in their evaluation, and yet our student achievement data did not match the teacher proficiency. And so the state thinking, and the state and probably the nation thinking that there should be a greater equalization between those two scores, um, put the student achievement data in here, except in hindsight or in actuality, all all roads of this lead to proficiency, especially in high performing schools. You're hard pressed to find any teacher being rated unsatisfactory or failing because of the building or teacher or elective data that's being reported. If a teacher's being rated failing, it's really because of this 50% piece of the pie. So after watching this week's video, I have a follow-up to looking at teacher growth, PVAS, with a video here. And after you complete it, you would complete an activity where you would get a certificate of completion, and you would be putting that in the weekly activity folder on D2L. Lastly, for this section now, this video is only, at this point, at the most 15 minutes. This module is the most 30 minutes. It took me 23 minutes to get my certificate, to give you an idea. And so at the end here, that's only 45 minutes. I have allocated time for you to kind of watch one of these videos. They're both 95 minutes long. And if you choose to watch them, I said optional, but I think they'll be useful to you. I suggest that perhaps you have it on while you're doing something else, and you can kind of tune in and out as some things resonate to you. And that way you're not sitting here spending a dedicated 95 minutes on the activity. So that will conclude part 4 of week 5.